What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls Summer League Live, coming to you from the one and only Stadium Swim here at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. CHGO Bulls Summer League presented by Coors Light. Make the most of the times you choose to chill. Grab yourself an icy cold Coors Light like I did at 10:45 a.m. today. Go to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Basketball. Celebrate responsibly. I'm Pack Bulls _Pack, joined by Big Day Bam, BAWL Sports, rocking the Hodges, Will the Go Gottlieb, Will _Gottlieb, and our pal producer on the controls here in the cabana, the one and only young Joseph Spadis.
Trying to disrespect my Craig Hodges jersey out here.
He is.
The disrespect of the youth.
In Joey's fairness,
for Craig Hodges.
He had probably never heard the name Craig Hodges before.
Yeah, he needs to read up on him a little bit. I understand. it was a youthful thing that he said, a youthful Vegas Joey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Saying things, but when he finds out about Craig Hodges, he might change his tune a little bit, just a little bit.
It was nothing against Craig Hodges. I just wanted to know if that was the first Matis jersey I was seeing.
Okay, fair question.
That was more of the question.
I have not. Did any of you guys see any Buzelis jerseys out and about around like Thomas Mack yet?
No. I saw a Luke Babbitt jersey, but
flex.
No Buzelis.
Did you guys plan this, by the way?
No.
13, 14.
You know,
looks like your brother.
You know me and Matt. You know we share a brain, dog. That's just how it goes, bro. We don't have to plan this.
Lots of fun stuff to get to on today's show. Thanks for joining us. If you are hanging out on that CHGO Sports YouTube channel live, go ahead and hit that like button while you're sitting here. We appreciate it. We're going to talk about very interesting words. Go, you and a couple of your fellow traveling beat members were able to have a sit down with AK and Eversley yesterday before their game. Lots of interesting things that they had to say about the direction of the franchise and what they are doing in their positions. We'll talk all about that on the back end of the show, but of course we cannot start anywhere other than the Bulls' number 11 pick, Marc Buzelis, who bounced back from a tough shooting night in Game 1 when he was 4 of 15. He finishes with 28 points in the Bulls' 92-82 loss to the Warriors last night, 10 of 22 from the field, 4 of 8 from downtown, and a dunk of all freaking dunks, Dave. I almost fell out of my seat when you and I were watching that.
Yeah, my knuckles were probably imprinted in your shoulder when I was putting my fist in his shoulder because I was freaking out a little bit. And everybody around us, you know what I'm saying, also went crazy. Just the young guys, the older guys, like everybody. And we had a great view of it. Like, we weren't sitting far from it at all. So we had a great view of it and saw it happen.
Yep.
And we were like, yo. And I was like, this is exactly why I don't sit next to Will Gottlieb anymore when we're doing this kind of stuff. Because there's no way I would have been able to contain myself watching that stuff like that, man. But it was an amazing thing, Will.
It was incredible. And, like, you know, the highlights aside, like, Modest did not play well the first three quarters. He was 5 of 14 with 16 points, which was, I think, almost exactly the numbers he had in the first Summer League game. And then in the fourth quarter, he went absolutely bananas. He was 12 points on 5 of 8 shooting, including a turnaround jump shot over Pajemski.
That was filthy.
A step-back corner 3.
Vicious.
And then that dunk, which was an and one in transition. And it was just like something clicked. I don't know what it was, but, like, the shot started falling. His confidence continued to be there. He was still calling for the ball, like, nonstop. But so you just like to see that sort of aggression and that sort of, like, give me the ball. I want to do this from a rookie and from a guy who, clearly has the goods. Like, I mean, he put it together in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, and that's why I said to you. That's why I said to you after that dunk, everything became simple for him. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's all it kind of takes is something like that to just make you realize, oh, this game is simple. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, I can really do this. Because you're right, Will. Like, the very next thing he did was that, you know, on the baseline, spin, you know what I mean, and pull. And when it hit, me and Matt said, ooh. And we thought he missed it because it hit the rim and went up high. We were like, oh. And then it went in. We were like, oh. And then that step back 3 on the baseline was just, like, that's unguardable shit. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do anything with that. And it was just really a special shot. But it looked really simple for him after that. It's like he wasn't thinking anymore. He was just reacting to everything. And I think that dunk is what did it. That just cleared a lot of stuff out of his head. And he just became real simple. Like, no, I'm the man. I can play this game. And I'm going to show y'all I can do this.
And, like, I think my favorite part is the dunk was nasty, right?
Yeah.
But we've been talking a lot leading up to Summer League. Everything we've heard from Modest since the Bulls drafted him at the end of June about his vibe, his makeup, his personality, and the fact that he just seems to be someone who loves talking shit, who loves to be the most competitive guy on the floor, And the stare down after the dunk.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh,
R.I.P.
stare down. Yeah.
Daquan Plowden, because holy bejesus. Modest dunks ferociously, falls, crashes to the court, and then just sits up underneath the hoop and is staring him down the whole time.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I just did that to you.
Yeah.
What you going to do about it?
Exactly.
Which I mean, Bulls fans, we're all goons. Love to see that.
Yeah.
Love to see that.
Yeah. No, he was talking plenty of crap from beginning to end. Even the last play of the game, when he was him and Pods, you know what I'm saying, kind of exchanged ill vibes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, with each other, man. Like, I love the fact, he said it, you know what I'm saying, before, like, but he is very competitive, man. Like, he enjoys talking trash out there. Like, he said these things before, and just to see it like that real, like, I don't like anybody when I'm out on the floor unless you have my jersey on. It's just fun, because immediately I start thinking about the guys who are really on this team when he's playing with them, and how that can, kind of galvanize and inspire your squad when you're doing stuff like that, to be like, no, I got your back. Because we talked about not having these nice guys. Bulls have too many nice guys here. We need some stank.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We need some dirty. You know what I mean? We need some goon out here.
Put some stank on it.
Him providing that might bring out something that is already in these guys that just hasn't been brought out yet, man. Like, no, that's our teammate. We got to protect him and hold him down. So I'm interested to see how this kind of rolls over during the season.
Yeah, and we asked him after the game, what changed for you in the fourth quarter when things just started falling, or was it a mindset thing? And the thing he kept coming back to was he was just waiting for the game to come to him.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of patient approach mixed in with his mentality and his ferocity in the way that he plays the game, that's when those moments can really pop off.
Yeah.
And I wish I was on the opposite baseline, so I couldn't really see the stare down. I wish I would have seen that, because I would have asked him about it. But you just could tell the way he thinks about the game, and the way that he approaches it from a mental standpoint is just it's very mature for a 19-year-old.
Yes.
And I think it has to do with the fact that he's been playing professionally now for a year.
Yeah.
So, the tools are there. They're undeniable. I think he's still very raw, and you could see that through the first. I don't want to dismiss the poor start to the game.
Sure.
Another pretty inefficient shooting night, was not getting those same foul calls that he got in the first game. But then to be able to snap out of that with just one play.
Yeah.
That can really set him back on track. I think it speaks to his mentality. And, we've talked about the J.R. Smith thing, that was one of the guys he admires. But it's one bucket can turn your game around.
You saw it earlier also in the game when, I don't know the name of the Warriors center, but they were battling for the ball. And Modest was really trying to, get up in his face. And dude didn't want to, he was like, dude, chill out. And Modest was like, no. He in his face like, what you going to do about it?
Right,
Sorkin, yeah.
Thank you.
Aaron Sorkin.
They were having some brush-ups a little bit.
Yeah, they were.
Well, and
he was going at him, bro.
Montas was not backing down.
No, he wasn't.
Even the final moment of the game, when it looked like Pods was just kind of going to try and do some fun, the buzzer's already sounded dunk.
Nope.
Because he had the ball.
Not on my
he was
watch.
prepping for some sort of bounce it off the hardwood alley-oop to myself. And Modest came over and just knocked the ball away from him. And he's like, no, man, no.
Not on my watch.
No, sir.
It's not going to happen.
Shout out to everybody hanging out with us in the chat. Our boy Strick, who said Modest caught a body. Julia, what's up, Julia? Saying, hey, guys, my timey, please. The bar's right back there. Please come join us.
Yes, we'll hit it.
I've already got my icy cold Coors Light.
Yeah.
Your Main Street Sports saying CHGO diehard member here.
Hey,
what's up, you Main? Pleasure to have you here.
Talk to you soon.
Scocks, what's going on? Dylan Randolph said, I'm late. Is that a Buzelis or Wayne Selden Jr. jersey?
Wow. I need
Fair
to get your
question.
history right. It's
Hodges.
not a fair question at all.
Hodges.
It is
Anyone
Craig Hodges.
other than Wayne Selden who owns a Wayne Selden jersey should have their head checked.
Correct.
Also, maybe Wayne Selden himself.
Yeah, shout out Wayne Selden also, Jr., because we remember you during the dark time, sir. But three-time three-point champion Craig Hodges, who set the standard for a lot of stuff and took the brunt of a lot of blame, man, and a straight-up activist also as well.
Yeah.
Shout out Craig Hodges, and a really good coach, too. I love Craig
wonderful
Hodges.
reading. Read Craig Hodges' book if you haven't, as a Bulls fan.
It's wild.
Fascinating stuff.
Yes, it is.
Flex Dick saying, Modest ain't scared to chuck up shots. Sean Johnson saying, Big Dave, bow. What's up, Kyle?
What up?
So that was something that certainly carried over from Game 1 to Game 2, Goat, is, look, Modest might have admitted after Game 1, a little sloppy, I can play better than that. We also saw early on in Game 2, as you were saying, he didn't really find his groove till late third, fourth quarter, that he had some sloppy turnovers last night as well. But throughout all of that, he was never afraid to be like, I'm putting the ball on the floor and I'm looking for my shot. Or I'm putting the ball on the floor looking to create. Also had a couple of great, catch and shoot moments off the ball. whether or not he's playing sloppy, whether or not it's, sort of a weird transition trying to play with this summer league team, new teammates, there is zero lack of confidence when he is finding an open look.
Yeah, and, we talked about this with Billy Donovan yesterday
BD3
and the day before as well. Like, he said, like, okay, the ball's not going to fall, but, like, what's your process with all this? Like, what is your mentality and the way that you're approaching things from, like, not necessarily just, like, how you think about the game and, like, what you want to do from a perception standpoint, but it's more like, how are you going about life on the basketball court when you get your touches or when you're not getting your touches? And so, I think he stays aggressive and he continues to get shots up even when the shot isn't falling, and I think that's the kind of mentality that you need to have in summer league in particular. I don't think he's going to have the same kind of usage at the NBA level unless he really explodes, and I'm not dismissing that. I just think it's going to be harder when you've got Kobe and Giddey and Ayo and Zach and Vooch on the court with him as well. So I want to see him continue to get shots up and, like, get hot from beyond the arc. He has to get to a point where he's still, like, I think, benefiting from attacking closeouts and getting hard closeouts at this level. I want to see if he can do that at the NBA level, but I don't have any problem or worry about him not getting those shots up. Those record scratches from guys like Ayo and Patrick even, who didn't get enough volume of threes over the last couple of years. Like, he's going to get them up. He shot 4 of 8 yesterday. And I think, the percentages are what they are from last year at the G League level, 26%, whatever it was. He's going to be a volume three-point shooter, and he's going to get shots up, and I think he's going to improve and get much better at it, and we saw a piece of that tonight. So I just think the approach to his process has been correct, and that's what I like to see in the Summer League more than anything else.
2 things, if I may.
Please do.
On that note, I do remember when he was drafted, and we were at our draft party, but I went back and watched I think it was ESPN coverage, and I don't remember exactly who was on the panel and who said this, but they said that talking to the G League Ignite coaches, that he was the one who was the most ready in terms of his work ethic and, taking it seriously and being a professional, and came in with the right mindset, and that was what they were really impressed with. It may have been Bob Myers, I'm not sure, but that stood out to me, and that seems like it's totally translated early on. My second point is, I think he's going to lead the team in Goon of the Nights.
Think so?
I think he's going to lead the team in
Julie
Goon
in
of
the
the Nights.
comments said our Goon is going to be a rookie.
That's what led me to say
I mean, the last 2, like, most prominent Goon of the Nights, Caruso and Drummond, are gone.
That's true.
That's what I'm
Somebody needs
saying.
to slide into that.
legends.
There's a hole to be filled, and Modest is gonna be gunning for that Goon of the Night belt.
All right,
in my
I'm not
opinion.
mad. And you're right about the G League coach, because I watched the interview with him on the Field of 68 podcast, and he was saying exactly those same kind of things. Like, he was like, he is ready. He was like, he is a ready player, and his mindset. He talked a lot about his mindset and how he approaches the game, and he talked a lot about his family too, and those kind of things. So no,
that's a real adjustment to make when you're 19 years old coming into the NBA, and so to have that box for the most part, hopefully check, that's a big thing.
Right.
Anthony in the comments said, get Zach and Vooch off this team and we're cooking. Hold that thought, because we're going to talk about that a little later on. Go ahead, had the chance to sit down and chat with AK and Eversley yesterday before the Bulls game about the future direction of the team. So we're going to talk about how the fact that, certain pieces are still here while they are building with other young pieces. A couple other people in the chat, shout out to our friends C-Red UK and Adrian, mentioning that a certain new Bull, not Modest, but the other one, Josh Giddey, had himself a nice game in the USA-Australia exhibition that just ended. We were catching the tail end of it right here behind us at Stadium Swim.
It was solid.
Yay. I'm working on it. I'm working on being excited about Giddey. I'm getting there. Just let me get there in my own time.
I said solid. I didn't say he was great. I didn't say he was good. I said solid, and that wasn't good enough. God damn, man.
Dave, you know me.
Becky Adams. Oh, I'm glad you sipped that. I'm glad you had that. I'm glad you put that in your system.
This right here?
Because that is him choosing a chill mindset.
That's my Vegas life juice.
Oh, you should have it. Got to get it in your system. Coors Light. Between work, social media, and the choices life throws our way, it's no wonder that we're more worked up. Coors Light celebrates rising above and choosing a chill mindset. Why not turn that rained out barbecue into the Will to Go Gottlieb and Montes Buzelis 18th annual karaoke house party? Oh, because he is 19. He's been doing it since he's been born. This is how it goes. Or, after a tough loss, settle scores with the ice cold peace offering. Make the choice to choose chill, then reach for a Coors Light and that mountain cold refreshment. Because when those mountains turn blue, oh yes, you know what to do. It's cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. So when you embrace chill, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. It is crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Hurricanes. Make the most out of your time to choose chill and choose a Coors Light. Go to Coors Light and get it delivered straight to your door via Instacart. Coors.com/CHGO basketball. That's where you can do that at. Coors.com/CHGO basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
You know who has a bountiful harvest of fresh, icy cold Coors Lights?
Oh, talk slow.
The fine people at Circa Resort and Casino right here in Las Vegas.
What a magical place.
I went down to the
Disney.
Stadium Swim Bar right down there as I had gotten all of our things lined up for the show.
Yes.
It's like, I need an icy cold one. I'm cracking one for the show. Shout out to the bartender whose name is Dave.
Shout
We
out.
had a nice little chat. I said, oh, my brother's name is Dave. My co-host's name is Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Big Dave. He was like, oh, Little Dave. I was like, I'll send him down here later. You'll have a chat. You'll be best friends. Anyway, Dave reached into one of those many coolers back there and handed me this icy cold Coors Light, and I appreciate that because, man, that's just one of a million things about why you need to choose Circa as your home base the next time you plan a trip to Vegas with
So
your
much
family,
fun,
with your
yeah.
buddies. The 3-story stadium-style sportsbook inside where we did our shows yesterday and the day prior is the largest sportsbook in the world.
Yes.
It takes 10 people to operate that $78 million pixel screen that is running 24/7.
That's what I heard.
Tons of VIP seating in different clubs, Dugout Club, Legends Club, Champions Club, the Legacy Club up top where we were hanging out last year. Amazing views of the city, of the mountains. And one of my other favorite features here, ID at the door. It is the only first ever in Las Vegas adult-only casino. Just check your, just scan your ID when you walk in. The main doors outside. You never have to show your ID again once you're inside. It's brilliant. It is brilliant. And then of course here, the cherry on top Stadium Swim, 4,000 person capacity, 143 by 40 foot LED screen that you see behind us right here.
Tall.
This place is open 365 days a year.
Never
6
leave.
pools, 2 spas, 15,000 square feet
Yes.
of wet space, 2 swim bars. That's where I got this.
Hello.
Cabanas. That's where we're hanging out right now. Super cabanas for you super duper people. I mean, the amenities go on and on. The next time you come to Vegas, you got to stay here at Circa Resort Casino. Shout out to them for being wonderful hosts to us this year and last year, and hopefully next year.
Hopefully.
So as far as what we saw in last night's game, obviously Modest was the headline. We don't need to spend a lot of time talking about anybody else. I did want to give a quick shout out to Adama Sanogo though.
Oh,
I mean,
double.
the man got his double. He got his double because 16 points, I believe he finished with.
Yes.
8 rebounds. And you say, where's the double? And 10 fouls.
Hey.
Managed to foul out of a summer league game,
Yes.
which is truly, truly impressive.
Yes.
We almost had to start calling him Adama Triple-Double Sanogo.
I will now.
Mr. Triple-Double.
Triple-double dama.
Triple-Double Dama.
I call him Airbnb now.
Why's that?
Because he is buckets and boards. He is Airbnb. That is who that man is right now. When he got his 10th foul, everybody around us applauded. We all applauded because we were like, 10 fouls, dog. That is impressive. That is
I think he had
very
4 in the
impressive.
first quarter.
Yes, it was crazy. But we talked a lot, man, watching him just, again, as you pointed out, his motor.
Yeah.
Just his motor is constant. Like, you don't really see it because it's not as intense as a Joakim Noah or as a Dennis Rodman.
Right.
But it is constant, and it is always going. He is up and down the floor all the time, man, and always in the right spot, which is in the paint. He's in the paint trying to cause havoc and get those rebounds. And I think I kept saying to you, like, oh, yeah, that's your guy. He's got to have a jersey on.
Yeah.
There's no way he can go in and not have a jersey on with the skill set I think that he can provide as a backup. Not a starter. I don't see him as a starter.
Not
but
a game.
As a backup. But as a backup, I really see a skill set that can really help this team, bro.
So we talked to Billy about him a little bit after the game, and I was like, so what do you think about those 10 fouls? And he said, it's unbelievable, actually. Pretty impressive. It's a whole wheel of cheese.
Whole wheel of cheese. Not even mad.
But, and then I asked him about, like, the execution stuff, the questions that I've had, about him being able to fit in at the NBA level. We know what kind of production he can give you, boards, points, his touch is good. He had a nice post hook the other day. And so, what he was saying is, like, that he's going to compete. He's going to give you everything he has, and sometimes that competitive instinct there's going to be mistakes. He's another guy that, for as competitive as he is, he wouldn't be here if he wasn't that. So He may be undersized, but there's not going to be people who work as hard as he is. So I think that's great. I think that helps you get to a point where you can actually like execute those schemes. But I do think they're kind of like the reading between the lines of it is like he's not quite there yet. And so that's going to be a process for him. I also asked about the 2 threes that he took, and BD3 was like, we give him 2 threes per game. If he misses them, he's done. But I think it speaks to the fact that they are trying to expand his game beyond just like, and we know the touch. Like I think he's going to get to a point where he can maybe knock a couple down because they're not going to guard him out there. So he said he's been working on that a ton in the G League last year with Henry Domerkant, who's the coach, and now who's going to be on the bench with Billy and the big team. But so just continuing to expand that game, and that's really what this whole summer league process is about.
What did you think about Sanogo?
I mean, yeah, it's what you and I were chatting about watching him in game 1, was just like the motor.
Yeah.
The motor is always running, and he continued to show that last night. The fouls, it's hilarious. I mean, if we are talking about Sanogo maybe being a bigger part of the Bulls' future, people in the chat are talking about Vooch right now. Vooch still here. 2 more years. $41 million guaranteed. He's still here.
He's not here.
We also signed Jalen Smith, the only free agent signing the Bulls made this summer.
It's true.
So Sanogo still doesn't really have a path to meaningful minutes this upcoming season.
It's true.
So I'm not worried about the 10 fouls in a summer league game.
True.
If we get to a point where the Bulls see Sanogo as a piece that they actually want to utilize more, then you need to talk about, okay, the motor is there. It's incredible. He's always hustling. He's crashing the offensive glass. He's getting putbacks. He's decent defensively.
Yeah.
Can we cut down the fouls?
Yeah.
But that's a tomorrow problem.
Sure. Yeah, that's an issue. That's where, and again, that's the backup center thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not something I wanted my starter. But he had one of my favorite plays in the game. It was, I can't remember what quarter it was, but there was a loose ball, and he went on the floor for it. Like, he dived right on the floor, battled for it, ended up with it, kicked it over to Masis, who ended up, hitting a 3. So it's that 50-50, like Stacey King talks about a lot, those 50-50 loose ball kind of things.
Right.
And he creates that. We saw him when the ball is up in the air and there's 2 guys on him, he will create an opportunity, for somebody on the Bulls to get the ball, even if he can't, by just tipping it up, tipping it in the air, and doing things like that. So I'd love that kind of thing from a backup center, who's going to provide that for the Chicago Bulls. But I think there's a place for him on his team, man. Like, that skill set, when you have that kind of touch around the rim and all you do is get rebounds, especially offensive rebounds, which gives you extra possessions, you got to have that on your squad. In a jersey, you got to have it on there in some kind of way.
Shout out to Chicago Bulls chat in the comments who said, it's C-Red UK. Aside from the big 3, a.k.a. Phillips, Sanogo, Modest, DJ Stewart has impressed me the most. I did also want to give a quick shout out to Stewart because we talk about how sloppy summer league games can be, and we've certainly seen plenty of slop in the Bulls' first 2 games. Stewart was pretty quiet in game 1. In game 2, he bounced back pretty effectively. 15 points on 5 of 8, 4 or 5 at the free throw line, and 9 dimes to 0 turnovers.
That's impressive.
I like it. Look, I don't think DJ Stewart is somebody that we're going to be talking about come October.
Sure.
But when you have that, like, okay, who's going to run point? Who's going to try to control this chaos of summer league basketball that's like so fast-paced and all over the place? Stewart really had a really tight game last night.
Yeah, he's aggressive, and he feels like a score-first kind of guy. So I thought it was nice that he ended up with 9 assists, but and no turnovers. That's cool. But he feels like a guy that's a score-first kind of guy, but he has no problem facilitating, and getting guys the ball and where they need to be. But the energy and the motor is definitely there. He likes playing defense. He likes one-on-one, putting his body on the other player when they're trying to bring the ball up. He enjoys that kind of contact. So yeah, there's a place for him, I think, in the league as far as the G League or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't think he played bad at all.
Yeah, I think he'd be, for me, a better candidate as a 2-way than Funk or Drell at this point. He's 22, which obviously is not Funk. Super high upside in terms of part of the reason why you like the Modest pick is because he's 19 and he's already doing this.
Sure.
Like, if you were to have gone with Dalton Connect, who's 23,
you already know what it is.
You've already lost those first. That's Modest's whole rookie contract of development. So, I think you want to get younger at those 2-way spots too, and I think Stewart showed some stuff. Scoring, I thought was really good. The rim pressure, I thought was really good. And the facilitation, he's helping guys get better. And I think that's the kind of thing you want in Summer League. But I also, why not give him a chance as a 2-way player, or at least a camp invite, and see what he can provide? Because he's got some experience, but he hasn't had a huge opportunity in the NBA. And I would like to see more of what he can do.
Yeah.
Shout out to Man Eater Pug in the comments.
Oh,
Long time no see.
Chico.
Excited to see how Modest develops over the season. Been out of the live cast for a bit, but glad to catch this one. Hope you all enjoying Vegas. Keep up the great coverage. Thanks for checking in, Man Eater Pug. Good to hear from you. Don't you worry. We will keep enjoying Vegas. And you are welcome for the coverage. Because this right here ain't a job.
I wanted to ask Will this. I wanted to ask you about, because you said something about it earlier, but the three-point shooting of him. Because we talked about how would he come back, you know what I'm saying, kind of after what we saw his shooting in that first game. But being 4 of 8, I thought was really good. But what was more impressive is the air balls that he put up that didn't deter him, you know, from doing a step back
You're talking
three.
about Modest?
Yeah, from doing a step back 3 on the baseline, you know what I mean? How did you feel about the three-point shooting of him in this game?
Yeah, I mean, you believe in the form, right? Like, and you see some of the moves that he does. There's like all this footage of him like doing behind the back dribble, step back, snatch back stuff, and then like side steps. Like, he clearly has the skill and the like understanding of how to pull off those moves, and it's really just like, is it going to go in or not?
Yeah.
And like for me, I believe in the shot enough that he's going to be in the like mid 30s, and I don't think he's going to be like a 40% plus guy as like, you know, a premier shooter or sniper or like guy who's going to be able to come off screens, stuff like that. But if you can continue to pull the defense away from the rim, draw hard contests and closeouts, that opens up his rim pressure game. And so I want to see him continue to take those and prove that he can make them to continue to earn that pressure from the defense.
Meanwhile, AJ Katz popping in again. Still not okay with Funk and Drell being here. No disrespect to him, but Funk out there to shoot, and he's not making them. Drell had 2 negative B-ball IQ moments for every 1 positive moment. There are fun young scores all over this summer league. Go get them. There was one, I can't remember what exactly it was, but you and I had one moment, and you were like, "Hey, man," because I've been dogging Drell for a while now, mostly just because it's a fun joke, and I don't know what he's doing here. But you were like, "Hey, man, he scored the Bulls' first 7 points,
out
of the gate.
That's it.
Boom,
right
buckets. He finished with 9. It was somewhere in the second half. He had just like a head scratcher where you're like, "Yo, Henry Drell, what are you doing?"
He's like, "No, Henry, no, don't do this."
He's trying to replace the Andre Drummond experience.
Yes, he is.
That's what he's doing.
And I don't need that experience on my team anymore. I'm good with it, all right. But yeah, man, like he didn't play great. Funk definitely didn't play great. You're right. If he's gonna be out there to shoot and he can't shoot, we got an issue. I think he's hit 1-3 in the first 2 games that he's been here with the Bulls. But yeah, it hasn't been good, man. But yeah, but again, this is what the G League is for, right? You know, to guys to develop and get that opportunity to see what they can do. Yeah, Drell's got to do better if he wants to continue to be on this team, because there are plenty of athletes out here, you know what I'm saying, here competing for these jobs, bro. So if you want it, he got to get it.
If Reed Shepherd is basketball Joey, Funk is like Summer League Joey.
No, I think Funk might be troll Joe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, he's even
I'm trying to understand this analogy.
Like, he's even like, I was sitting right there. I'm like, he could be my brother.
Oh,
we could be hanging out. We could have been walking out of the stadium. Everyone would have been like, "Oh, what are you guys doing tonight?"
Yeah. No,
you guys sitting at the tables tonight?
Somewhere there's a 7th grade vice principal looking for Andrew Funk because he's supposed to be in detention, and instead he's here playing in summer league.
Just my observations.
Talking about like front court depth, we've been talking. Sanogo, Vooch still here. Where's Modest going to fit in? Nubastyle in the comments said, actually, Sanogo does have a chance. Who's your backup power forward? Who's your backup center? Are you telling me Jalen Smith is backing up both positions all the time? No, Modest is a rookie. And Anthony, meanwhile, saying, no, Nubastyle, Smith is the backup 5. Modest is the backup 4, in my opinion. Would you agree with that, at least as far as projected Billy Donovan Sr. rotation coming into training camp?
Yeah, and I mean, Torrey Craig is still on the roster too. So.
Torrey Craig's still here. What's up, Torrey Craig?
Sanogo, there's like zero world in which Sanogo's playing anything other than the 5.
Yeah.
And same with Jalen Smith at this point. Like, I don't think he's like mobile enough, versatile enough offensively or defensively to be at the 4. That's like a position. That's like a skill position now. So he's a 5, and I think you maximize what he does by putting the ball in his hands and letting him be a stretch shooter. That opens up the floor. And if you do that as a 4, I think you lose a lot of that value. So it's going to be Vooch, Jalen Smith, Sanogo at the 5. It's going to be Patrick, Torrey Craig, Modest at the 4.
Still plenty ahead here. CHGO Bulls Summer League live, coming to you from the one and only gorgeous Stadium Swim here at Circa Resort Casino. We are going to dive into a chat that our very own Will to Go Gottlieb had with Arturas Karnisovas and Marc Eversley yesterday here in Vegas, talking about the future direction of the team. Cannot wait to dive into this.
Yes.
While you were hanging out with us, A, we appreciate you. B, hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Do it for Troll Joe, who's stuck home back in Chicago under a bridge somewhere. He did not get invited to Vegas. He's sad about it. Hit the like to make him happier, because you know he's collecting those in his treasure chest.
Yes, he is.
Right now, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Indeed. Everyone is driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match, and match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed, because Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. No one likes busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster, it's about quality too. And 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job hiring sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Big Dave, if you maybe need somebody to mow your lawn,
All the time.
or maybe, I don't know, I'm looking for the Bulls to make some new hires, and I can tell them, hey, you got to check out Indeed. They got some really good people over there. That's what I'm going to do. And if you need to hire in your work life, right now, just go to ALLCITY, just go to Indeed.com/ALLCITY, and you will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility when you post them. That's Indeed.com/ALLCITY, ALLCITY. And you can support us by saying you heard about Indeed when you were tuning in to CHGO Bulls. That's Indeed.com/ALLCITY. Terms and conditions apply. Terms apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Indeed. Baby Joey hit me up. He was at the game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he said he walked past Goat, and he said he ran his fingers through his hair. Goat didn't feel it because he was so focused and typing and stuff, so he didn't feel it.
That's super creepy.
Yeah, he said he just wanted to touch the quaff. He wanted to say it, and then he said he whispered something. He was like, but Goat was typing. He don't know if he made it out. But he said what he whispered, they never understood.
Never understood.
They didn't get it.
Why would they touch the hair?
Oh, don't you touch the quaff. But the smooth baby hands of Baby Joe, it's all right. Just quaffing the wrong. Oh, I love it so much. But he don't understand. He's a baby. He don't get it. Why? Why don't you touch the quaff? And why do you have to pay so much to look cool? Shady Rays ain't get that neither. Shady Rays will never touch the quaff. But they will make the quaff look extra cool, especially when he put those frames on his face. Shady Rays Independent Sunglasses Company offering that world-class product, rated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars for over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames, extremely clear, crystal clear optics for making it perfect for your outdoor, as we're proving, and also your indoor.
In the cabana.
Oh.
You can wear them in the cabana, too.
Cabana Spathis. They have hundreds of options to choose from, ladies and gentlemen, so you're bound to find that perfect pair to match your style. Look at that stylish, man. And they also might have your favorite colors. Man, got some awesome colors that I didn't even know about Shady Rays had. Now I'm going to have to go get me some, man. How can I do that? Well, exclusively for the listeners out there, Shady Rays is giving away their best deal of the season. Head to ShadyRays.com. Use the code CHGO for 35% off those premium polarized shades. Hit it, Joe. What
Cover yourself!
The shades that are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people because it's Shady Rays, y'all. With them rays are oh so shady.
That was a total botch on my part.
It's all right, man. Summer League Joey, I got it.
Summer League Joey's got a lot on his
Summer League
plate.
Joey.
Can I get one thing in here before we go to Goat's
Sure.
AK thing? Totally
Sure.
off topic. But
Yeah.
we have all these ALLCITY people walking around. We have Kale's right here. He's got headphones on.
Yeah.
And
Our
all
guy
I
Kale.
could think
Just
of
the
is
coolest person.
when you guys are talking about Troll Joey and Baby Joey touching Ghosts, like, are they just like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Correct.
Troll Joey stuck under a bridge in Chicago. I'm sorry, what?
I feel
Like, I'm just
feel that
waiting
way.
for somebody to be
mean-
like, what are you guys talking about?
Kale, this is how you interact with the
I don't
DWR
even know
Nuggets
what we're
guys,
talking
right?
about, so.
Yeah,
says way
okay.
worse.
It could
Okay.
be worse, Joe.
It could be worse, Joseph Strathis. Also, shout out to my other new Joey,
Yeah.
Joey Red Vest, and now Joey Blue Vest.
Joey
out
Red
here.
Vest and Joey
Two of
Blue
them things
Vest.
out here, man.
Dude.
We'll have to ask you, which is the better, Joey Red Vest or Joey Blue Vest? Which one did you enjoy the best?
I liked Joey Blue Vest's opportunity. I mean, he was sitting on the floor.
So Joey Blue Vest was
Joey,
last
right in front of
night's
Henry
game
Durrell.
at the Thomas and Mack Center, the big boy stadium.
Yes.
And he was positioned in one of those photog boxes on the court right by the Bulls
He
bench.
did not
Joey
move.
Red Vest ran so that Joey Blue Vest could fly. That's how I put it.
I like how you started with ran.
Instead of walk so he
Right.
could run.
Oh, no, he ran.
Drell threw his warm-up on my face. Basically. It was the best moment ever.
Well, yeah, he's Henry Drell.
That's right, man.
Summer League and Windy City superstar.
You better believe
he
it.
throws his warm-up jersey wherever he damn well pleases.
First 7 points of the game.
Even if that's in your face.
In your face. That was for GOAT.
All right, let's dive into this fascinating chat. Y'all, go put this up last night right as the game was getting underway. Go check it out at allchgo.com if you haven't yet. As we're talking about this, an exclusive interview, you and a couple other members of the beat. Shout out to our guy Darnell Mayberry of
Hey,
The Athletic.
big shout out.
Casey Johnson,
Money
NBC.
talks.
We're able to have a little powwow with AK and Eversley, the Bulls front office brain trust, here in Vegas, talking about what they have done so far this offseason and what they still have lying ahead of them to do when it comes to tweaking this team and getting themselves back on track for a brighter future. GOAT, I mean, we can talk about any and all kinds of this combo, but what was your first takeaway walking out of that?
I think the big thing is like this is going to be a work in progress. They are not a finished product right now, and I think like the main criticism, like that kind of the umbrella criticism of everything that went down the last 3 years was that like ultimately they didn't make improvements. They didn't change direction. They held onto a team that we all could see was not going to reach the levels that they wanted it to.
Yeah.
Javon Carter
And yet,
catching strays.
3 years in, they still didn't make any meaningful changes or adjustments. And so to me, like that was the overarching criticism, like, and that led to the depreciation of value of their assets. That led to, not really making it past the play-in and not being in a position where you could actually strike gold in the draft. And so ultimately, I think it all comes back to that. And I don't think that's going to be the case here. For one, I mean, Zach LaVine, Vooch, Lonzo Ball are kind of the holdovers of that last iteration of the team. And that makes up like almost $100 million in salary, $85 million in salary. So that's a lot of money on the books. And at a certain point, if you're going to pay Kobe White and Ayo and Josh Giddey, you're going to need to clear out that space in order to do that. So that was my main takeaway is like they kind of rested on their laurels too long. And I think, AK acknowledged that. He was one of the things that he said was like, I mean, you could say we held on too long. We didn't do this soon enough, but like this is where we are. And I think that I think to a certain point, like the two things are inseparable. You can't talk about like the decisions that they made without talking about the past decisions that they didn't make, and because one led to the other, right? Like if you held on too long to Caruso, then you couldn't get as much as you would have hoped for him to start this new era. So I don't want to say that those things aren't connected. They absolutely are. Sure. But at a certain point, we have to start looking at the moves that they're making now, and the team that they're building now, and the roster that they're looking forward to. That's, I think, the core takeaway of what we heard yesterday was this is going to be a work in progress. We're not done yet. And I think part of that is just like the Zach and Vooch element of it, but I think part of it too is like they aren't putting together a team that they view as a finished product that they're going to give chances to for 3 years. Okay. I think there's going to be more adjustments, more moves to come, and I think that's the way that they should be approaching this. You can't sit on your hands for 3 years and not do anything when the team isn't good enough. And so I think they recognize now that this is going to have to they're going to have to build on this and continue to make adjustments.
With having those young players, do you feel like the leash is going to be longer or shorter on some guys? Because we've seen teams, like if guys are younger and they just didn't play well, they'll switch them out. They'll see some that just say, let's see what the development can be, and then we'll make decisions like 2-3 years down the line. How do you feel they look at it?
Yeah, it's a balance, right? You have to give the guys a chance, and like with young players in particular, it takes a while for them to develop. I mean, Kobe broke out in year 5.
Sure.
And I think you're hoping for the same thing with Patrick. Giddey, obviously, progression is not linear. He had a great rookie year. He played a lot in his second year. And then last year, he was not really a part of the rotation. And, like, the argument was that, like, they got too good too fast.
Right.
And it's like, well, okay, well, if you're not good enough to be a part of that, like, that's, I think, very telling. So he has a lot to prove. And I think that the Bulls are going to give them runway to do that. I think that becomes a challenge when you still have Zach and Vooch on the roster. But I think it's going to have to be this balance of, like, evaluation and, like, adjustments without acting so fast that you can't get a full view of what the young guys are, but also not giving them so much time that you're not helping them improve by making changes to help put more talent around them that can help expand their game.
Okay, I mean, there's a lot to get into with this and different puzzle pieces. You mentioned Zach and Vooch. We can touch on them. DeMar, there's some interesting stuff about DeMar from Eversley in your column. I'm just going to say this, and then I'll move on from being bitter, at least for the duration of this episode. I do, and I'll also preface it with this. I appreciate AK and Eversley being willingly transparent with you and fellow members of the beat who came out here to Vegas, took the time to cover this team, and wanted that opportunity, and of course would say yes anytime they come to media and say, hey, y'all want to talk.
Agreed.
Because Bulls fans' frustrations for years has been centrally focused on a lack of accountability when it comes to, hey, this team, things seem not right now, and the people who are running it are hiding. Where are they? We'd like to hear from them. So, credit where it's due. This was not a normally scheduled appearance from front office. Yeah. They did this. Thanks to them for doing this. Yeah. AK still trying to phrase that, and the quote's in your column, Will, about whether or not they waited too late to make these changes and finally making them. He said, we're kind of making these changes. You could argue with it too late or early, but that's where we are right now. I'm sorry, or early?
I think, to me, that, yeah.
What?
I understand the way that sounds. But
maybe he just threw it in there as like another word to put in a sentence, but there's no world in which you, like, he finally acknowledged that they waited too long, and it kind of put them in a really tough spot because he waited too long. And he's still not fully acknowledging. He's like, well, you could say we waited too long. No, dude, you waited too damn long.
I think that was his way of saying it. And I don't think it came off the way that he probably would have hoped. But to me, that was him saying, like, yeah, we probably waited too long.
Yeah.
So say it with your freaking chest, man. Own that. You talk about accountability, then be accountable. Because that, I don't know, that bugged me. It seemed real dodgy and ducky and like admitting a mistake but not fully admitting the mistake and waiting too long to admit the mistake about waiting too long to do your job. F! All right. What else do we hear? Let's talk about the DeMar thing, because I think that was a really interesting factor of this conversation, Will. Talking about the decision to kind of hang on to this core that DeMar was leading, and DeMar kind of just barely keeping them afloat with quote-unquote competitiveness, trying to make the playoffs the last 2 years in the East and coming up just short. What did you make of the way Eversley put DeMar into that equation?
Yeah, I thought that was super interesting because, what he said was like, basically DeMar was a big factor in our decision to not move off of this era. And my interpretation of this is not something that they said. This is just my read. I just don't think they had good offers for DeMar to where it made sense to trade him.
Okay.
Because otherwise I think they would have explored that. But when obviously we know they had offers for Caruso and for Drummond. And Zach was out for the season, and the rest of it was what it was. But like, I think if they had offers for DeRozan too, it would have made sense to start tearing this thing down then. But if you were just going to trade Caruso and Drummond and keep DeMar, and you still kind of, I don't think it was like DeMar had any say in the direction of the team. Yeah. I don't think they were like, giving him, influence in the front office decision making. But I think it was like he said when they signed DeMar in the first place, it was a commitment to trying to win and a commitment to, being a very high competitive team. And obviously it didn't work and they should have moved off it sooner. But when you can't move on from DeMar, the only thing you can do is like take away pieces that can help him. I think that influenced their decision. And, they said multiple times, like, we were just one game away from the playoffs. So it wasn't like we were completely out of this.
Eyes rolling out the back of my head.
Yeah, again, we can agree or disagree with that. I disagree. But that, I think that played into the decision making. If there was no trade for DeRozan and, like, they were still trying to be competitive, I think they probably still could have made the 10th seed just because the Nets were a dumpster fire. The Raptors were what they did last year. I mean, it was like on par with some of the great tank jobs in NBA history.
Impressive.
So I think they still would have made the 10th seed, but I think they just felt like they kind of owed it to the rest of this era. And I think that really was kind of, to me, a takeaway from the whole of the last 2 years. It's like they felt like they owed it to this team to continue to give them chances. And I think ultimately we disagree with that, but that from their perspective, I think that was a huge influence on not moving off this thing sooner.
obviously, what the other big person to talk about here is Zach LaVine.
Yeah, let's talk about Zach.
So what was said about Zach, about the idea of trading Zach or keeping Zach? What was said about Zach LaVine in this?
So I think the expectation right now is Zach will be on the team next year, at least to start the season. They kept on saying he's healthy now, and he's going to come in training camp and be a professional. I think they believe that Zach's poor play last year was a result of the injury that he had. It really frustrated him. Obviously, like, the trade noise was out there. Clutch played a factor in that. Zach played a factor in that. The Bulls played a factor in that. But when you're injured, when you've got all this off-the-court stuff going on, and when the team was 5-14 with him, like, I can understand the frustration on Zach's part. And so I think they feel right now that, like, Zach is going to come in, he's going to be healthy, and that's going to allow him to play better. And when he's playing better, he's a really good player that can help the other guys around him. We can discuss how the usage stuff impacts the ball in Giddey's hands, the development of Buzelis and Kobe and some of these other younger guys, but, like, the reality of the situation is there's not a good deal out for Zach right now, and they are not going to attach picks to move on from him as they enter a phase where, they were very hesitant to say, and they did not say that this was a rebuild or a teardown or a tank. Like, they did not want that to be the case. I think what they want is to build a core of young players that they can move forward with, and so that they can kind of kickstart a rebuild without having to have the 3-4 year tank job that the Nets are now going to be undertaking. And so they're not going to remove assets from their war chest when you enter that phase. I mean, you cannot do that. So I think that was really reassuring to know that that's not going to be the case. We can debate whether we think this is good for Zach in terms of his ability to rehabilitate his value. But I think ultimately they believe he's going to be healthy. That's going to help him play better, and that's going to help the team around him. And so when you talk about the four factors of him losing value around the league, it's him being hurt, him not playing well, him not helping the team win, the team playing better without him, and the new CBA making his contract look really unpalatable. If he comes back and is healthy and plays better and helps the team win, you remove three of those things, and all you're left with is the contract. But the contract is influenced by those other things.
Fair.
And so I think there's going to be, this is, again, just me speculating based on, what we heard from them is, like, there's going to be, I think, opportunities closer to the trade deadline next year for them to move off of that. Because the key words were, like, building around a young core. And, like, clearly Zach is going to be 30 next year. He's not, and Vooch too, like, they're not going to be fixtures of the next iteration of the team, but they're not going to be in a rush to move them so much so that they have to sacrifice other parts of their future in the form of draft capital to move on from them. So I think that's the right approach. For me, like, that's how I would do it. I'm not saying that, like, this situation is going to be perfect with Zach coming back. I think there's going to be problems with it and flaws with it. And, if Zach doesn't play well, that could be a problem. If Zach gets hurt again, that could be a problem. But I think it's better than attaching picks to move up from him. That to me would be a non-starter, and it seems like it is for the Bulls as well.
Dave, your take on the Zach situation?
I mean, I want him traded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he wants to be traded, and they want him to be gone. And I just want to start the youth movement now and get those things. But we all can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. You know what I mean? But what Will stated about those four pillars is very key because he has to showcase that, and that's the weird position of Zach, other than a guy like James Harden or anything like that, who has cachet, who had things built up in his bag already to be like, no, I've already proven I can do certain things. I've already shown you. I've got an MVP trophy. I got this and that. So certain players like him are allowed to do, those pouty things.
Right.
Because they have built up already a nice resume. Zach still has to kind of build that. I know the team I've never really heard an issue about him with the team internally. I know people were wondering about that. Would that work, him coming back? Would that be weird? I had never heard anything to the contrary, that it would be an issue with the guys in the locker room.
And an interesting wrinkle to throw into that conversation about, like, well, it looks like Zach's coming back this year, this coming season. Stacy, shout out to our buddy, on a recent episode of Give Me the Hot Sauce, was talking about, like, hey, look, like, Zach likes his teammates, and Zach's teammates like him.
Yeah.
The issue and the friction in the locker room that's been going on for a couple years now is Zach and Billy. Zach is not a fan of Billy. I don't know if it all stems back to that one time Billy benched Zach in the fourth quarter of a game where he was playing like absolute dog piss.
Trash.
But if that's all it is, then I think that's like, okay, Zach, get over it, man. But maybe it goes deeper than that, and maybe they don't see eye to eye on certain things. Maybe Zach thinks Billy should orchestrate more of his offense and game plan around him as opposed to DeMar. Those conversations have been going on since the Bulls' hot start in the 2021 season, or the 21-22 season. Like, maybe it's one of those things, but the question of, we can't trade Zach, we're not going to give up assets to move him, Will. It sounds like you're pretty confident that that's how they feel about it. And he's back here. Will it be a problem? Youth movement, locker room, Kobe hoping for a bigger role. Josh Giddey arrives in a trade and is going to need the ball in his hands. Like, okay, Zach's a professional, but how long will he be I'll pretend I'm happy for now professional?
I think that is the bet that they're making. That, to your point, Dave, he's not like James Harden. He's not Ben Simmons. He's not going to stay home and not come in and be a professional. Because at this point, like, the fact of the matter is they are moving towards a youth movement, and it's not complete yet, but like Zach knows that in order to get moved, he has to be a professional and, re-earn some of the goodwill that, I think we all feel like he probably deserves. Yeah. And so the only way to do that is to come back and perform and fit in, and I think that's what they are hoping he's going to do. So, again, I'm not saying that this is going to be like a perfect, fairy tale ending. I don't think that's the case, but I think Zach knows that he's going to have to play well in order to get moved. That's really what it comes down to. And so that's what is going to have to happen.
I do like the quote AK had. We're not going to make deals that are not going to make us better. We're going to be patient with that. But I think we're far away from a finished product now. The fact that he said, that we aren't rushing to make these deals, because everything we know about AK is him being aggressive on these kind of things and these kind of situations, which is kind of why you get a Josh Giddey and no picks. You know what I mean? Because you're being aggressive and you just want what you want at that point. The fact he said, no, we're going to be patient on this. We're going to take our time because we're not going to take something that's going to take away stuff that we have. We need to be bringing in things. That, for me, just said, okay, Zach in a jersey, Vooch in a jersey, Lonzo in a jersey. Because to get rid of those guys, you're going to have to take some losses to get rid of them and get them off your team if you want to do it now. How it might look as it goes on might be different. Maybe those guys play differently and the team pops up and says, oh, we're trying to make the playoffs. We're willing to work with you guys. But he's being patient about it, understanding what this year is finally, and getting what they have to do is good foresight and hindsight to have at the same time.
Yeah, and just like my kind of like overarching takeaways from this is like, I think this was an acknowledgement that obviously things did not go well, but I think they also waited too long. And so I think, again, we can agree or disagree with like the way that they're approaching this. I wrote a whole thing about how there's some stuff I would have done differently. Nice. But generally speaking, like, I think that they are putting themselves on a path that makes a lot more sense to me. And I don't think that like that part of it can be overlooked because they have to continue to make moves to improve. Sure. I think they have learned from previous mistakes, and I think they are going to continually adjust and try to find the right way to do this. But like, ultimately, getting a bunch of young players, not having to go through a miserable rebuild, like, that makes sense to me. I don't think that they are going to – this is the other last thing is, like, I don't think they're viewing this as a tank season. I think they're viewing this as a – obviously, it's a bit of a step back from having DeMar and Caruso, but I think that they feel like if they are bad and get to keep their pick, that's a win. If they are good, it will have been because the young guys really popped and performed, and that means that you're on the right track and you're building towards something great. So right. I think that's the very fine line that they're walking. I think that's a fun approach. Obviously, the details are what they are, but I think that, and we could talk more about this tomorrow. We've got to wrap up, but I think that it was great to hear kind of from their perspective how they're approaching this. And, I don't agree with all of it, but it's just, I think hearing it and understanding it and just having that open and honest conversation with them goes a long way for us to be able to talk about this thing accurately.
Finally, some level of acknowledgement, even if it was a lot late and still kind of half-assed in its, apologetic form. It's at least something. And I, as a Bulls fan who was cranky with this front office for a while now, I'm a little less cranky at them. I'm still cranky and I'm still skeptical, but I'm glad that you and your fellow Beatman members were able to get that opportunity to chat with them out here in Vegas. Appreciate them for doing it. And we'll see what happens. We do have to wrap up. We got to keep things tight. We got 4 shows going simultaneously every day while we're out here in Vegas. We got DMVR Nuggets coming around the corner. So we'll get out of here for now. Just a reminder, go read Goat's column with his interview, Eversley and AK from yesterday, allchgo.com. So you can find that. Plus tons of other stuff that Will's written. I've got 2 parts of a diary pecking order up that's up right now that you can read too. And more content. We're going to go back to Thomas and Mac today, see what's going on. Bulls don't have a game, but we're going to go check it out anyway. Talk to some Hoops fans. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button on your way out. Shout out to our pal producer Joey on the control. Shout out to Kale, who's also hanging out here in the cabana with us, the one and only. Will the Go Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb, Big Day Bow, BAWO Sports. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. We are here for another 24 hours or so. Follow along, CHGO_Bulls. We're here in Vegas. Shout out to our friends at Coors Light, presenting sponsors for Summer League content, and of course our wonderful hosts, Circa Resort Casino. I'm going to go get in that pool, stadium swim. Until next time, see you right, be good.
Peace.